will have matured, stabilized, and be worth more or less. Now, you obviously have to go through this same exercise with each type of coin. I personally am of the mindset that this technology is not going to go away. There's way too much value in it. And I haven't actually talked, in my last couple of slides, I'm going to try to explain how the blockchain could change some industries fundamentally. We haven't really talked about use case for the blockchain. It's all been coin this, coin that. But, you know, if you look out, say, 3 years from now, what's the probability that Bitcoin will be worth nothing? I put that at 0%. I don't know how much it'll be worth, but I don't think it's going to go away because it's a pervasive, sort of thing that's out there. What's the probability that it'll be worth less than it is now? I put that at maybe 25%. What's the probability that it'll be something more than it is now? I personally put the probability as about 75% that it'll go up versus down at some point in time over the next 3 years. I'm not saying tomorrow. I'm just saying that if you bought $100 worth of Bitcoin now, what would be the probability that it would go up versus down at some point over the next 3 years where you could cash out and get more than your money? Probably 75%. What's the probability that it'll double? Maybe 25%. What's the probability that it'll quadruple or triple in value? I don't know, but there's a percentage that you might associate with that. So if you're interested in investing in these things, I personally think if you go out 2 or 3 years from now and you look back at an $8,900 Bitcoin, you'll probably go, wow, I wish I'd bought some of that. Maybe not. It could go down. I mean, there's still a lot of what this value, this underlying fundamental value. The first question that was asked is, what's the underlying fundamental value? And the answer is there's nothing like gold. There's nothing like share of profits or anything like that that's underlying the value of these coins. So is it all speculation? Well, I have another slide here that is, I think, kind of interesting. And wait a second. My lines got erased somehow. So let me try to... maybe not. Let me go back. So let me try to, actually I didn't have any lines. So I remember August of 1995 because I started a company called FlashNet in August of 1995. At that point in time, there were 1,500 internet service providers. And the company I started with was an internet service provider. And I was the smallest out of 1,500 because I had no customers on the day I started. And it took a while to grow. Over the next 3.5 years, we saw an increase in the take rate. The population of the United States in the summer of 1995 that was on the internet was around 5%. That's probably about what the population of the people that are actually owning Bitcoin are right now, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5%. I don't know that there's any government data at all that you can get, but just conversations that you have, I'm going to say probably about 5% of people have some sort of cryptocurrency at this point. 3.5 years later, 35, 40%. Now, 15 years later, 95% of the U.S. population is on the internet. How much value has been created from this point to this point, and then the next 10 years after that? The internet was just getting started. Yeah, cryptocurrencies have been around for 3 or 4 years, just like the internet had been around for 10 or 15 years, technically, as it was sort of getting to the point that the herd was coming on board. I think we're at that point now. So my point to you is when you look out to the future and you look at what the valuations will be, I think we're still at the very front end of a take rate, a curve, an adoption, a usage that is going to be huge. Now let's forget about currency and let's figure out what is a use case that this stuff might be used for. Let's think about 3 industries: the music industry, the TV industry, and video games, which are respectively worth $16 billion a year. That's annual downloads. 3.2 billion annual downloads of movies, way more than that if you're not doing downloads. And video games, 4 billion in downloads. So we're just talking about people downloading stuff to their computer. Has anybody ever gone to Half Price Book and taken a used book or a used vinyl record or a used CD or a used movie and gotten money for it? Right? I think most of us have done that. Okay, how many of y'all have ever taken an iTunes that you're no longer using and sold it? Nobody. You cannot sell your digital music because it's not allowed. You know why? Because all you're doing is making copies, and that's pirating, and that's illegal. Digital music is not today a unique commodity. You think about a baseball with Babe Ruth's signature on it. I give you that baseball, pass it around. Of course, I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't want your finger smudges on it, right? That's a valuable, physical, unique item. Unique. One of, only one. And in the digital world, that has not been possible until the blockchain. The blockchain is the first technology to come along to make it possible for me to sell you a digital asset that is truly unique and trackable and provable. So what does that mean? Well, that means that I could sell you a song by Taylor Swift or Rihanna or something like that, and I would know you own that song because I sold you that song just like I sold it in a CD. It's a unique digital asset. With a CD, it's a physical asset, digital on physical. But if I sold it to you on the blockchain, it's unique digital on digital because it's tracked to you and only you. And when you sell it to somebody else, you no longer have it. It is taken away from you and given to somebody else. So the blockchain actually makes it possible for digital assets to be sold and uniquely identified for the first time. That means music can be sold, movies can be sold, video games can be sold, things can be sold. Here's another kind of an interesting group. I'll come back to that in a second. I have another slide.
But you're not suggesting, though, that like an artist would create one piece of music, a song or a composition, and sell just that one.
No, I'm saying they create one. Actually, follow me through this. So you have a shopping cart of some sort, which is what an iTunes is. It's a shopping cart. And there's a copy, a master copy of Taylor Swift's song up there. You decide you want to buy it, 99 cents, boom, they download it to you. But they don't really know who you are. When they download it to you onto the blockchain and it gets delivered to you, they know who you are.
Oh, so you're saying
and that copy is tracked to your blockchain when you bought it. And then later, when you want to sell it through the blockchain, you load it back up to a shopping cart, which is a marketplace, and you sell it again. So you actually, this concept of a wallet becomes a player. So when you get your asset on your phone, it's literally just a player. You go, I want to listen to Taylor Swift. I'm no longer want to sell it. Boom, you put it back up, you sell it, somebody else buys it, and it goes off your phone. And because we can track the digital asset, we know you no longer have it, you now can sell that song. And that's just an example. It could be music, it could be movies, it could be other digital assets. Here's an interesting idea. Let's say Taylor Swift has a bunch, and it could be anybody, it could be Warren Buffett, but let's say Taylor Swift she's feeling creative. So she sits down in front of her camera, she's got her lights going, maybe not, but she's got a camera going, and she gets her guitar and she plays a little song, and it's unique. It's the only time she's ever played that song.
So that's what I was
And now she sells 10 copies of it to her 10 collectors that want it for $10,000 a piece. Now she sold one song to 10 people, and they're the only ones that ever have that song. The only way you can hear that song is if you go over and they put the earbuds in because it's on their phone or it's on their computer. It cannot and does not exist anywhere else. You own, or that person owns, that copy of Taylor Swift's song. And then later they decide they want to sell it. They go back to the marketplace, they put that up for auction, and somebody says they want $20,000 for that one copy. There's only 10 copies. It's a unique copy. They want that song they're willing to pay $20,000. So now the person that bought it for $10,000 makes a profit. But you know what? The smart contract the smart contract aspect of the blockchain can say Taylor gets 10%. So now it's been sold for 20. She gets $2,000. So forever. This isn't copyrights that run out in 70 years, which of course is way beyond her life. Forever, she owns a royalty every time that song is sold. So no matter how much that song is sold in an open marketplace, every time it trades, Taylor gets 10%.
So you can prove that up, plus that would prevent that song from being able to be duplicated, pirated, as you say.
Because it can only be unlocked by the wallet that received it. So the person that is buying the asset has a digital stamp connected to that asset, and that digital stamp can be sent to somebody else, but that asset cannot be opened and played without that stamp that goes with it. So you now have unique digital assets. You have new music and used music. That's never been done before. That's a completely new marketplace for these unique assets that can be sold. So that's something that the blockchain can do. I mean, that's new, that's different. So for those of you that are interested, this didn't print out, this isn't a pitch.